Hey, my Patreon patrons recently voted to decide which previous 5 stupid things topics I should revisit. So here are 5 more stupid things about the third place finisher in that vote, the anti-vax movement. It's responsible for outbreaks of rare diseases. The risk of vaccination is negligible. Far, far worse is the risk of not getting vaccinated and leaving yourself vulnerable to a dangerous but easily preventable disease. I said that 2 years ago at the end of the first 5 stupid things about the anti-vax movement video. Last year, there were over 600 cases of measles reported in the US, the most in decades. But do I get credit for my prescience? Do I get pats on the back? Do I get people saying, hey, that moderately popular and extremely funny and sexy guy on YouTube was right? No. And I shouldn't, because it's common sense. All of it. It promotes reckless egocentrism. I'm glad I don't know what this is like. The anti-vax movement intersects with the American, I got mine, everyone else can go to hell strain of libertarianism at this point. Many anti-vaxxers assert their individual liberty to refuse to be vaccinated, either not knowing or not caring about the effect their choice can have on others. Unvaccinated people endanger not only themselves, but other unvaccinated people, including those who go unvaccinated for legitimate medical reasons and who depend on the rest of us for protection. In other words, an anti-vaxxer is essentially saying, what I want is the only thing that matters, even to the point of endangering the health and the lives of other people. This is narcissism at its most dangerous and intolerable. It equates vaccination with rape. And this is hyperbole at its most inaccurate and offensive. There are those, like me, who feel that vaccination should be not voluntary, but mandatory. And how do some within the anti-vax movement respond to this? Well, they say things like, oh, so you're in favor of forced penetration. You don't think that people should have the right to control what is put inside their bodies, do you? Ha ha! Describing vaccination to make it sound like rape. I guess that means there is actually no difference between mandating immunization, a practice with scientifically established and far-reaching benefits on both the individual and societal scales, and committing a sexual assault, a practice with no benefits for anybody that is indefensible in any circumstances. I suppose when you phrase it that way, it proves that there's no difference at all between a doctor who guards the health and occasionally saves the lives of his patients and a rapist. When you combine the anti-scientific fundamentals of the anti-vax movement with disgusting tactics like this, it's dismaying and kind of incredible that it still exists. There is not a shred of evidence to validate the anti-vax movement. Vaccines are safe, they're effective, they don't cause autism, and they are responsible for eradicating or nearly eradicating smallpox and polio, once 2 of the most feared diseases known. Immunization is one of the most successful medical treatments ever devised. It has literally changed the world for the better. And yet still the anti-vaccination movement persists, a movement composed of people living in that better world, benefiting every day from the thing they so foolishly and arrogantly seek to undermine. And yet even with all that, the persistence of the anti-vax movement isn't the worst thing about it. As inexcusable and intolerable as it is, even worse is the fact that all too often the law is on its side. Though every U.S. state requires public school students to be vaccinated, every state but 2 also allows for religious exemptions, and 20 states allow for philosophical exemptions. Personally, I don't see why holding a demonstrably false belief about vaccination should entitle you to endanger the lives of your children and anyone else they come into contact with. The anti-vaccination movement doesn't have a leg to stand on, scientifically or morally. It's time for the laws of the United States to side with public safety and modern medicine in this matter, and against the anti-vax movement and the ignorance, illness, and death it promotes. The hardest part is only picking 5. Catch you next time.